What's going on, guys? Kaiger here, and in today's video I'm talking to the global players about Seal coming soon to your server. I'm going to talk to you about the mechanics, monsters to use, and run you through gameplay. Let's get into it. So here on the raid screen, on the far right we have Seal. There's only one currently, which is Ruined Temple. If we take a look, it has one of the best weapons, probably hands down the best, because it increases monster attack, which is not capped by other things. The shield increases monster HP, which is not bad, but I believe there's better out there. Then we talk about the set effect, increase monster defense. It's usable, but I don't think it's the best out there. But the weapon is definitely there, not to mention down here we have it drops effect stones and gems, a random roll across the board. Then we have material down here. These materials are used for 4 new outfits, as well as increasing your equipment to 6-star gear. So now you can start working your gear up all the way. Now let's get into his effects, which, as you can see here in strategy, the main thing you're worried about with him is his passive right here, Broken Armor. He is immune to all regular damage, all CC. He only takes damage from dots, a damage over time, but he takes 5 times the damage. Now let's talk about the units that you should be bringing here. Now the first damage over time effect we're going to talk about is Burn. All 3 summoners also can apply Burn with their fire weapons. Now what's very interesting is everyone here can apply Burn, but there's very few that could apply level 2 Burn, which are going to be very important, allowing you to get max stats. Now imagine you have 2 burn units, you're going to get to 10 stacks pretty quickly, right? So along with other damage over time effects, one thing that works here is Explode Burn. What that does is it consumes all the burn that's on them and does the full damage right now instead of over time, allowing you to then apply up to 10 more burn onto them. Now, talking about units that have level 2 burn, I like Sonora, the fire mummy. If we take a look right here, level 2 burn on the first active skill with 3 mana. You can spam this. The other skill doesn't really do anything because it only takes dot damage. Another one that is decent would be the Imp Champion Pyro. If we take a look, level 1 burn and level 1 burn, both skills apply burn. Now, I don't fully recommend the Imp Champion, but it's good to point out units that do this. The one that everyone really likes to look at is Tatu, the Fire Pixie. Why that is the first active skill does a burn, that's literally all you need her for, but her second active skill, Explode Burn. That's really what you're looking for. She's very powerful. She's a 3-star, so everyone can get her, bring her up. Now there is one more burn explode, and that would be Smokey. Smokey is better in a lot of cases because if we take a look, his first skill, instead of only doing level 1 burn, he if you rank it up, 75% chance to level 1 burn and 75% chance to level 2 burn. He's going to, on average, apply more burns than Tatu, as well as his second skill, just like Tatu, does Explode. Same mana, roughly the same cooldown. It really comes down to the first active skill and ranking up a natural 5-star versus ranking up a 3-star. Now let's talk about Bleed. Is kind of an interesting one. Only 2 of the summers can apply Bleed, Orbia and Cleef, but only in very specific ways. If we take a look at Bleed itself, it's a lot of LDs, but there's a couple that I think we can look at. First would be Dark Garuda. If we take a look, level 1 bleed, level 1 bleed. That's really awesome. He also has a passive to give him bonus accuracy so he can hit those bleeds more often. Then one that is probably one of the best things to ever bring in Seal is exactly what the name suggests, Seal. And that's because her second ability, if we take a look, applies bleed and poison, which if you're able to do the two different ones, you're able to bring them both up. And this is a good ability. The only issue is that it is a 5 mana cost, so you're not really trying to soul link this. The last one I want to talk about is Dark Mummy is actually really decent here. If we take a look, level 2 bleed, the second skill doesn't do anything, but it's a 3 mana level 2 bleed, which is very, very powerful. The last one I wanted to talk to you about was one that not many people are going to have, but it is good to point out for the people that do, and that would be Dark Beetle Knight. For the same reason that Burn Explode is good, his first active ability for 3 mana does explode poison. Now let's talk about, with the new water skill for Cleef, all 3 units can apply Frostbite. Now talking about the units themselves, if we take a look, just like the last couple, Water Mummy is pretty powerful here for the same reason. The first active skill is a 3 mana level 2 Frostbite. These powerful 3 stars is very interesting to have for Seal, because these level 2 damage over time effects really kick in and become very powerful. Let's talk about Water Harpoo right here. That has a chance to apply Frostbite on the basic, which is very powerful. But then the first skill also applies a Frostbite. The second skill isn't going to be used very often. It has a freeze chance, but the boss is immune to that. Last one is one that you probably wouldn't have expected, and that's Teor, because his basic has a chance to apply Frostbite, and his first active skill, the same reason as the Water Mummy, is a 3 mana level 2 Frostbite. Very, very powerful and spammable. Last one I want to talk to you about is Rondell, the Water Raven, and that's because he has Explode Frostbite on his first active skill, something we always want. Let's talk about the last damage over time. Now, Electroshock is a weird one. Cleef and Orbia can both apply Electric Shock, but the big issue here is that Electric Shock currently in the game does not have an Explode. I'm expecting that to happen at some point, but this is something to keep in mind. There's only 2 units I want to talk about in this section, and that is going to be the Wind Chimera, because his basic, just like Teor, applies Electric Shock, as well as the first ability has a level 1 Electric Shock for 3 mana. Not as powerful as Teor's level 2 on 3 mana, but a level 1 will suffice. The last one will be Akamir, because he has the level 2 Electric Shock on his first active skill, but really the most interesting thing is his basic increases damage over time durations by 2 seconds. If you have some damage over time effects that you guys are trying to keep alive on the boss, Akamir with a little bit of attack speed, you don't want to go too heavy into it, but making those dots last longer is more damage over time, and more damage times 5 because of his passive. Now let's talk about 2 last things you need when you're going into Seal. One is movement speed, which both Bernard and Remy both do, as well as you need a reviver. Most people suggest the 3-star Light Garuda Tion because he can revive, but also he can do the skill cooldown very similar to Konamiya. Not to mention, it is a light unit, And this boss is a dark unit, which gives you power bonus if you're trying to hit certain thresholds. A good secondary one, which is also a light unit but also a 3-star unit, would be Cheryl, because she applies burn on her first basic, and her second skill is a revive with a 80% chance to do a second revive, which is very, very powerful. Now let's go into actual gameplay. So first you load in. There's a waiting room so you can move around units, get things going. As you see, I'm doing a burn setup right here. I didn't feel like moving things around. I have some other things I could bring, but I wanted to test Tessarian, which is fine, but not really the greatest. His basic applies burn, but the other two skills do damage based on burn, but the boss ignores that. Now, he has 4 basic attacks that he does. One is this butterfly effect you're looking at right here. Another is where he charges straight forward. The third is what we call 50-50, where he slams one side and then slams the other side. Then the last one is we call the wave, which does a wave in front of him to do some damage. Now, it isn't like most bosses where this is just damage. If you get hit by these, he destroys your HP, which is unhealable damage. These 4 basic skills are ones he's going to use over and over during the fight, which is why you want a reviver, because if a unit dies, if you're at the corner of a 50-50 and get hit and one of your units gets hit by both, then they're dead. Tion can bring it back up for 4 mana, which is really, really good, and then you can use skill acceleration to let them use their abilities and you use your ability. Now going back into the actual gameplay, we're putting on some good damage. As you can see, burn and poison and frostbite keep going up. Here's the 50-50, one side, and just chunking through him. Doing another butterfly. Just keep using your abilities. There's 2 Bernards. Ideally, there's the wave. Ideally, you would have 3 or 2 Bernards and a Remy. My units died because it was caught in the 50-50, but Tion is able to just revive. I was doing this during work, so I wasn't able to get it as perfect as possible. There's a wave, and then really we're just dealing damage until we get to the next phase. There's 6 people, as you see. I'm currently in 3rd. Here's the bull rush. That one does not destroy your HP, but it does hit really, really hard. Now we keep going, and now he's going into the next phase. Now when he jumps into this middle, then he's going to do 3 jumps. He's going to jump to where you see that circle appearing, which does that initial damage, and then you need to run inside that ring, and then it does damage outside the ring. He does this several times in a row, as we'll see. Bam, and then walk in, doing damage the whole time. Remember, it is 15 minutes, but that is your time limit. 1, 2, and then he jumps over here, doing damage the whole time, and now he jumps to the middle, the last one being the middle. Damage the whole time, and then you go into the suicider bomber phase. Now, this is the first one, is always going to be 2, one on the left, one on the right. They grow during time and then blow up. When they blow up, they deal 70% max HP, not current HP, but max HP, and gets rid of all your buffs. Everything you have on you is gone, and 70% fixed HP. So ideally, 1 or 2 people in your team will destroy 1 bomber, and then you play around that side while dealing damage to the boss. keep going. We kill one and then keep going after him. This is a very powerful skill right here. It only shows a small area in front of him, but once the red line hits the edge, then it pushes. And if you're in front of that and get hit by it, you go off the map and you're dead. This is an auto kill skill. Maybe if you get hit by one and you are able to move a little, but you're pretty much dead. That's just a regular jump, nothing crazy. Then this is another one that he does where you need to get in the middle of him. And let's see, more bombers are out. Does a jump, rush forward. And you see we're ignoring the bombers because we don't need to play around these particular bombers. Now here is the last mechanic, and that is the energy of guard. When this spawns, the guard soldier, you need to destroy it as fast as possible. This is a damage check very close to Naraka. Once we kill this, a barrier is formed, and once the line finishes, then this is an auto kill. Now, the barrier is still on the ground, like you still see the barrier, but it only does anything for that initial effect. It's still there, but it does not block you anymore. See, he's doing the wave. This is one of the best ones to get some free damage in on him. Just really go in. Here's a 50-50. And the Bernard really allowing us to do what we want. This was just, these are a bunch of people in my guild, but we weren't like on comms or anything. This is just, hey guys, anyone want to do a seal? And then we jumped in. We didn't even plan around our team comps, but that is something you can do if you're trying for better times. But we've seen all of his mechanics at this point. It's just doing it at this point. Tatu really doing most of the work. The guy who's number 1 on my team is also using Tatu. Just going to chunk him for a bunch. Now he's doing a wave, and this is pretty much dead. Once you get to about 8 minutes in, I believe, then every 30 seconds his damage goes up. Here's the statue. Now, if your team has good damage and you're trying to do a faster run, what you can do is have 4 people kill the guard and your 2 bigger daughters hit the boss during that time, so you have less downtime. And then he's pretty much dead, and he is down. Let me know in the comments section down below if this helped you out and how excited you are for the new outfits and to make 6-star equipment. Till next time, guys.